So I came up with an experiment, and their marketing guy, Todd, has a horrible shellfish allergy. I took a can of crab meat and opened it on stage, derma rolled one of his arms, and then just rubbed the juice from the crab can in there, and instant histamine reaction, hives, arm blows up. I put the can of crab meat in a thing called a quantum block, which is just, for anyone who looks at it, just a couple of plates of metal, right? But what it's actually doing is it's opening a flux field around and inside that block. That sounds kind of odd, but it's an actual pervasive field. And so,
And it has to do with the way it's made and the structure and
yeah.
everything.
And so what happens is it harmonizes the material that's inside it for the person who's going to be interacting with whatever that material is. Again, it gets back to the idea that there is some interconnected underlying intelligence between and under and around all things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I lectured about waveform dynamics because my understanding is, a wave is not just a sine wave, right? That doesn't really describe reality. Where I'm at now, I can very clearly say there are 20 things that are really requisite to describe a physical thing, right? You've got spin and pressure and chirality, and there's all sorts of things that you really have to have a bead on. And in this case, with the crab meat, it only took modulating a couple of those, and just over the span of a couple of minutes. And I pulled the can out, I derma rolled his other arm with a new derma roller, put the same juice on it, and nothing happened. And everyone in the audience, it was, like it was like a dog that had heard a new sound with the kind of,
Yeah.
because it doesn't work. What I was trying to do was mimic an old dermal stamp test from an allergist,
Yeah.
where you prick somebody with something that they're going to have an allergic reaction to, and you look at it. So the histamine reaction is obviously a real thing, but what does it stem from? Well, it doesn't actually stem from a biochemical interaction. That's more of a tertiary effect. Really, when you break it down, everything is a waveform. This goes all the way back to 1924 when De Broglie was able to isolate, and got the Nobel Prize for it, for isolating that everything has an emissive frequency, right? Things based on their atomic weight and size and spin will actually have a frequency that they emit. Well, frequencies travel in waves, and that emission comes out and it's interactive with everything around it. So you're looking at complex waveform interaction. So some things are destructive, some things are constructive. So when something's destructive, then it starts to void out the waveform and you end up with problems. And so if your physiology is set up in such a way that, in this case, the crab juice was creating a destructive interference pattern, well, then it inhibits your body's ability to function. So you have a reaction.